So I'm going to present a few numbers for Lovie Smith as the defensive coordinator last year for the Houston Texans. Now, I want you to keep in mind, the Houston Texans are my favorite team. The Houston Texans are the team that I'm going to watch as much as possible. I have, the NFL Game Pass. I try to watch every single game of theirs. Even though they won 4 games out of 17 tries this year, I still watched every game. There's not a lot of... David Culley was the defensive coordinator for this team last year. There's not a lot of numbers that support him being a head coach after 1 year. And, I'm just going to say this because it's just how I feel. This is just how I feel. And I understand everything that's been going on lately with the racial divide with head coaches. Coaches need to be hired that present an ability to change in a positive manner what they can do, what their team looks like. And I think Lovie Smith can do this. He obviously did do it with the defense last year. Even though statistically they were one of, if not the worst defenses in the NFL, they still were top 10 in takeaways, which, that makes up a lot. And Lovie Smith has not had a fair shake at things in his entire career. He gave Chicago 9 solid years from 2004 to 2012, 9 solid years. And in a year in 2012 where he led the Chicago Bears, they had the 9th best winning percentage in the entire NFL. They had the 6th best point differential. He gets fired the next season. He's out of the league for a couple years. He goes to Tampa for a couple of years and gets fired in 2015. He gets brought back this year. It's his first NFL job since 2015. The NFL has changed a whole lot in 6 years. It doesn't seem true, but it has. I feel bad for Lovie Smith in this position because he presents something that David Culley presented, and that's an easy fire ability. Now, that comes due to a couple reasons. I'm not going to just go out and call Nick Caserio a racist, but what I will say is it's easier for NFL GMs to fire black coaches than it is for them to fire white coaches. There's no way in hell, if Mike McCarthy was not a white head coach, he would have been fired the moment that he ran QB draw. Him and Kellen Moore would have been escorted out of Dallas into anywhere other than here. And I think Lovie Smith presents that easy fireability for Nick Caserio, and that's why he's in the position. Because let's be real, the head coaching candidates were not very strong this year. Even though I think Matt Eberflus will be the best head coach that was hired this year, he is the best head coach that was available. Head coach candidate between guys that have been hired. I mean, you compare him to Nathaniel Hackett, you compare him to Mike McDaniel. I mean, come on. And I think, a lot of people are going to bring up Eric Bieniemy. A lot of people are going to bring up a lot of other, options. Listen, the guy that I would have wanted the whole time is DeMeco Ryans from San Francisco. He is the all-time leading Houston Texans tackler. He's one of the few original Houston Texans. You have to remember, the Houston Texans are maybe 20 years old in their franchise history. I would love DeMeco Ryans to take over this team, take over this defense, take over this franchise. But that's not what we're going to get. We're going to get this Nick Caserio having his own input, which he deserves. He's the GM. He obviously deserves his position, or else he wouldn't have been hired. Wink, wink. With that being said, I feel bad for Lovie Smith because he got put in an unwinnable situation last year. There's no way he could have won with that defense. There's no way he could have even competed with how terribly that defense has been managed the years prior to him getting there. So with that being said, I'm sorry, Lovie Smith. I think you're probably the best head coach, one of the best head coaches we could have hired. I don't see it lasting more than 2 years. Because he's an older guy. Maybe he doesn't want to. I wouldn't want to coach the Houston Texans for more than 2 years at my mid-60s. Are you kidding me? I'd hate that. I feel really sorry in saying it, but he might get fired halfway through the year. He might get fired after the year. He might get fired after 2 years because that's how poor this team is managed right now. That's how poor this team is operated. And I will say there are going to be head coaching candidates coming up in the next couple of years who are going to be highly touted. There's going to be very highly touted offensive and defensive coordinators that are going to be up for head coaching positions after next year and after the year prior. So, yeah, again, I feel bad for Lovie Smith. I love that we hired him. I love that we hired Lovie Smith as our head coach. I love that. I don't want what I'm saying to come off as me saying that he did not deserve the position or that I don't want him to be the head coach. I want Lovie Smith to be the head coach for the next 5 years. I want Lovie Smith to coach the Houston Texans back to playoff contention. I want Lovie Smith to be the reason that this team turns it around. I want Lovie Smith to be the face of this franchise. I want Lovie Smith to be that. I don't want a player. The last players that we've had that we've made faces of the franchise have burned us. We've had we have had 0 franchise faces end their career in Houston. Not Arian Foster, not J.J. Watt, not DeAndre Hopkins, which that's not his fault, but we're not going to see Deshaun Watson do it. Matt Schaub moved on after he had his time there. I don't think Brian Cushing ended his career in Houston. Even if Brian Cushing did end his career in Houston, that's our one franchise face that has stayed there the whole time. We've had one. I want one of our coaches to do this. I want a Bill Belichick type hire. I want a Kyle Shanahan type hire. I want a good hire. I want a Pete Carroll type hire. Will Lovie Smith be that? I hope so. But, with Nick Caserio, I really do not think he's going to have a chance to do that.